Hi, I'm Van and welcome to Overland Lab. Today I want to talk to you about my Indel TB41 12-volt fridge that I've had for a couple of years now. Before I go into too many specifics on this though, I want to talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of running a 12-volt fridge and kind of why I decided to go this route versus a conventional cooler. I think the biggest reason for me was that I ended up with too many soggy sandwiches over too many camping trips, and I just kind of got fed up with the whole ice operation that you have to deal with a conventional fridge. With this, you're not limited to your ice sources. Your food isn't getting soggy. You don't have to deal with all of the draining of a standard conventional cooler, getting the water out of it periodically, and also just the general life of ice and the insulative ability of the cooler. With this, as long as you can provide power to this unit will keep your stuff cold. While that's an enormous advantage, it's also a disadvantage is that you are limited to the availability of power. You're not going to be able to take this out of your vehicle and move it 70 feet to a better site or take it to another location. This kind of has to stay near your vehicle or near an outlet. So that is kind of one of the biggest limitations of running something like this. The other big limitation, and why I'm sure a lot of people don't go this route, is the cost. This guy cost me about $500 back in March of 2015 from Equipped One Outfitters. I'll put a link in the description. And this is considered an entry-level 12-volt refrigerator. They do go up substantially in price from here if you start looking at some of the Ingles and some of the other high-end 12-volt fridges. Now that said, this is a really good high-value piece of kit, and I'll go into some of the specifics. It's got a lot of high-end features. So this unit is available in 3 models. There's a TB41, which is a smaller unit. It's just shorter. It doesn't have this spacer. There's the TB41, which you see here, and there's a TB51, which is a taller unit. It's not any wider or more deep. It's just a taller unit. I went with the middle of the road because this kind of fit into more applications. It fit into the trunks of more vehicles, and it's just kind of a good manageable size. It's kind of the right size for me. It really is that kind of best of all worlds. The unit can be run on either a 12 or a 24 volt system in a vehicle, and it can also be run on a conventional household outlet, which is nice. It has a Dan-Foss compressor. It's super efficient, and it's very low noise. You can hear it, but it's not very noticeable. One of the biggest things that I like about this is that it has an active battery monitoring system. So it actually monitors the input voltage from the vehicle, and there is a user programmable setting. There's a little switch on the side that allows you to set the threshold and cutoff of this unit. If it senses a voltage below the setting that you set, it will shut itself off. And I actually have had that happen a couple of times, so I know it actually works. The display stays on, it displays, I think it's E1, which means the input voltage is too low, it turns itself off. Yeah, your food might go bad if you leave it off for a prolonged period of time, but that, especially if you're somewhere remote, that beats the heck out of not being able to start your truck. So there's really no fear of this thing because it has to stay plugged in all the time and it has to be able to constantly draw power. So there's no fear of your battery going dead. Now that said, I've let this thing in a hot cab of a truck for 24, 48 hours without starting the vehicle, and I've never had it go dead on me. So it does run for a really long period of time. Now, if you're running a lot of accessories while the vehicle's off, you're gonna shorten that lifetime. Obviously, running a bigger battery is advantageous because then you can run it even longer. And if you're running a dual battery system, it's not even an issue for you. But you don't have to worry about it killing your battery, which is really nice. It's a great piece of security. The user interface on the side is very, very simple. It's very clean. It has a power button. It has a max and economy setting that you can set. It also has a temperature control. By holding down both temperature buttons, you can switch it between Celsius and Fahrenheit. So it's very simple. It runs from 0 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, so you can run it at actual freezer temperatures as well as kind of a warm refrigerator kind of temperature, just depending on where you need it. I usually run it kind of right in the middle at a standard, 4 to 8 degrees Celsius refrigerator range, although I have used it as a freezer a time or two. While this unit isn't necessarily installed, there are still some installation considerations. The biggest is you need to find a standard 12-volt plug in your vehicle that has provided constant power versus ignition power. So that is to say, you want to make sure that outlet stays on when the vehicle is turned off and the keys are out the ignition. Otherwise, you're going to turn the fridge off. It also will behoove you to have a plug with heavy gauge wire running to it. That way you can get an effective read of the battery voltage. The easiest way I've found to do that is to have a direct line from the battery to a separate standalone plug in your vehicle wherever this is going to be. I have a series of auxiliary fuse blocks throughout my truck so that I always have a good power source for all my accessories. But an easy way to do that, and what I'm probably ultimately going to do in my fiance's vehicle, is run a dedicated plug and a 10 gauge amp kit from that plug directly to the battery so that I know it has constant power, it's got a good ground, and they can get an effective voltage read. Also being able to immobilize it so it can't slide around or tip over is important. I usually run this in the back seat of my crew cab truck. It has a 60-40 folding rear seat. I fold the 40 portion up and it fits there perfectly, and I have an outlet in I believe it's the B pillar that I installed some time ago, and so it fits there perfectly. I still have 2 of my seats. My dogs ride in the back of my truck a lot of the times, and so it doesn't interfere with having the rear seat folded down, which is great. The other thing you have to be mindful of is make sure that these vents stay clear on both sides. That way they don't get plugged up and it doesn't overheat and you don't inadvertently kill your fridge by not letting it be able to breathe. I also can run it in the back of my truck. You can just put, I have the L-track on my bed rails. I can put a pair of fittings. I use a cam buckle strap. I actually think that's an important point to bring up. I would run cam buckle straps on this versus a conventional ratchet strap, because I wouldn't want to over tighten and actually damage the fridge. A cam buckle, you can get it nice and tight, but not so tight that you're going to damage it. The handles on the side are very heavy duty. They're metal and they are bolted to the body. They're very secure. I would call them load bearing. So you could also strap the handles down, especially if you're using like an SUV or you have an actual dedicated drawer slider for it. That way you can attach to that and still have access to the lid. The other major feature of this, there is a small light on the inside that allows you to illuminate the food in here, especially at night or in low light situations. That's really nice. And it also has this little divider that you can take out so that you can even remove your food from the fridge, sort through it, dig through it, and there's also this little divider that can be taken out if you need a little more space. You don't need to run this. It actually buys you a little more space in here if you don't run it. But the ability to organize, easily remove everything, and sort your food a little better is nice. It also has this secondary little compartment over here, which I'll roll in a little clip of, that allows you to have kind of a warmer region. So, I'll put my produce, my fruit and vegetables, maybe some of my toppings, and other stuff that I don't want to melt in my car, like if you have, granola bars or anything like that. It's nice to keep them cooler up here versus just out in the vehicle, where especially if you're away from your vehicle for a while, where they can get kind of hot and sticky and gross. As far as some of the other accessories you want to consider, a cover is a really nice piece of hardware. I got one from Amazon some time ago. This one actually fits a Waco CF40. It zippers around. There's some Velcro over the handles that keep everything in place. It provides 2 pockets so you can put some accessories, some koozies, and a bottle opener as well. All the essentials. And it not only provides protection of the unit, it also provides some additional insulation. The inside has got this kind of thermal lining, so it'll help the fridge not have to work as hard, especially if you're storing it in a hot cab or in the bed of a hot truck on a hot day. A couple other little accessories I would recommend, well, not required, and that are lessons hard learned. You can't easily drain this out. There's not like a plug, so if something breaks or spills in there, you kind of have to be able to scoop it out. So some of the ways I've gone to avoid that, especially running like milk or anything like that, repackaging your liquids in like a Nalgene or a similar heavy-duty container means that you won't have to worry about them breaking and spilling everywhere. Another thing is if you're transporting eggs, buying a cheap egg carton like this. I think I picked this guy up for a couple of dollars. They're available on Amazon. They're available from Walmart and Target and any place that sells like Coleman camping gear. Is a great little addition. You can put a dozen eggs in there and you don't have to worry about them getting crushed. It also allows you to organize everything a little better. Other than that, the size of the fridge has been great. I would call this absolutely perfect for a weekend trip. You can easily stack 12-ounce cans in one half, especially if you're a beer guy like I am. You can fit your 12-ounce cans easily on one side of the divider and then all your food and everything else on the other. For a longer trip, I've also used this guy for like week-long trips and it works out great. Sometimes if you're bringing a lot of beverages with you, it's nice to be able to cycle them, keep some at room temperature, and then your cold beverages in here, so that might be one of the disadvantages. If you're running a really long trip, maybe running one of the bigger fridges might be a little more advantageous for you. But for every trip I've been on, this has been absolutely great. I have also considered running a conventional cooler for beverages and then running this for all food, vegetables, and produce, stuff like that. So a 2-cooler system, especially on a longer trip, might actually be kind of nice. I gotta say though, this unit has been absolutely, totally reliable. I haven't had any functional problems with it. The one problem I did have at one point when I first got this, I had the lid the whole way up and I let it fall and something in the handle broke. I contacted Indel and they got me a replacement part very quickly, which was nice. The handle was easy to fix and I haven't had a problem with it since, but I also have been more careful. You might want to not just let the handle fall. But other than that, I really haven't had any problems with it. It really has been a great, reliable piece of gear, and especially if you do a lot of vehicle-based travel, this is a great, great piece of kit. However, there are some uses for it that I didn't discover until I had had it for a little while, other than camping and adventuring and hunting and your standard outdoor applications. Big one, grocery runs. So if you have a series of errands that you need to run, stopping at the grocery store is one of them, and you want to stop at the grocery store first, you can throw all your cold goods in here, keep it cold while you run your other errands. Especially if you have a long distance to travel to and from your nearest grocery store, this can be absolutely invaluable because then you can stuff your cold goods, you don't have to worry about them going bad while you're driving. Also, if you're an avid tailgater like my fiance is, something like this is absolutely great because you don't have to deal with ice. You just keep it in your vehicle. You're near your vehicle anyway. You just grab what you need out of here and just go. Another nice reason to have it around is just to have an extra fridge around the house. Like I said, you can plug it into a conventional 110 outlet, and now you've got an extra fridge. If you're having people over, you need a little more space, you need to clean your fridge out, and you want to take everything out, you can stuff it in this, keep it all cold. This thing will come to temp very, very quickly, especially when you run it on the max mode, and you can clean out your fridge and then put everything back if you don't want anything to thaw. You can run it at freezer temperatures, so same deal. If you need to thaw your freezer and you've thinned it out and you don't have a lot of stuff in there anyway, you can throw the most important frozen goods in here, keep it all cold, thaw your freezer, and then unpack it all and stuff it back in. So it really is a great multi-purpose piece of hardware. The longer I have it, the more reasons I've found to keep it around and to keep using it. And despite the price and despite the disadvantages of being limited to the range of the vehicle, I really do love this piece of equipment. I would strongly recommend it. You can get them from, like I said, Equipped One Outfitters. I think there's a few other people. There's also a truck fridge version of this. It is identical to the Indel B. I ordered this guy, like I said, from Equipped One, and there's actually a sticker on the lid for truckfridge.com out of Georgetown, Kentucky. So it's the same unit regardless of who you get it from. My experience with Equipped One was good. I didn't have any customer service concerns about them. They were great to deal with. The prices, I don't know what the current price is in. I'll put it in the description. You can take a look for yourself. But despite the high price tag, if you even think you want to go the 12-volt fridge route and you don't want to go with a $1,000 or more option, this is a great, affordable, high-value option for you. With that, thanks for listening in, and if you have any questions, please list them in the comments. And thanks again for watching another one of my videos, and if you guys like them, I'll keep them coming. Thanks so much.